overused phrase to say someone's having their moment. But as I said to Larry, there was a lot of people, even Democrats, who were very, very skeptical of Vice President Harris as recently as a few days ago. But now a couple numbers come out, and all of a sudden there seems to be serious consideration about whether or not maybe she could be the candidate that beats Trump if Biden steps aside. What's your view?
Well, my view is there's a whole lot of speculation going on, to use your word, about a situation that is not even close to happening. President Biden, interestingly, after his very poor performance at the debate, the following day gave a very strong speech in North Carolina. Not only off a teleprompter, and you know as well as I do, reading off a teleprompter is not an easy thing, and particularly if you're going to ad-lib along the way, which is what he did. Now, the future is now. And we're going to know over the next couple of weeks exactly what the situation is. My perspective on this is that the president is strong, is capable, and will continue to perform as he has spectacularly as president. Now, being a debate is not one of the tasks of a president. It's certainly a task of a candidate, but not of a president. And Biden has displayed even recently as a week ago, that he is more than capable to perform as president. For example, the NATO meeting is but one example. Questions were not raised there about his health, and also the D-Day program, which preceded that. So we'll see. As you said,
let me ask you a couple of things.
They're a couple of days out ahead.
Right. First of all, you've obviously been watching this show. I think that was a shot you took at my ability to read a teleprompter, but I'm going to let that go.
Well, mine too.
No, that's not. I'm going to let that go.
It's not an easy task.
No,
you know that.
okay.
Mine do too.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've messed it up many times over the years. But you talk about President Biden's performance at the debate. Now, but if something like that happened once, I think the concern of a lot of people has been this week that. And, you know, there's been reporting to suggest that it has been happening more and more over the last, say, year or so. And even more concern that it could happen again. And as you know, this is a 24/7 job. So aren't those legitimate concerns, many of them being raised by people in your own party?
Well, certainly the health concern of any presidential candidate is of major importance across the board. Certainly that concern is manifest now. With regard to Biden. However, it should be just as equally appropriate for Trump. Take a look at that debate. Biden's performance, in a negative way, overshadowed the horrible performance by Trump. Trump did not answer one question. He simply went back to 2 or 3 major talking points, right, and then spent the rest of the time lying about his position.
And I think that's the reason a lot of Democrats were frustrated. I mean, I brought this up a couple times this week, right? Because they say, all right, Trump's beatable. To your point, yeah, he's up there lying about a number of topics, and there are openings for Democrats to make their argument and articulate that argument, and the president didn't do that on issues like abortion, certainly on January 6th. There were openings, and he let them go. And, you know, someone else, maybe Kamala Harris, maybe Gavin Newsom would have done a better job and would do a better job in office. That's their argument. I mean, again, many people in your own party, Congressman.
Well, let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks out there. As reported on this show, there are opportunities where the president will be in public, will be answering questions. He's got a long interview coming up and presumably a couple of press conferences and multiple events. So we'll see all of that. Clearly, the question has been raised. My personal view of this, knowing this man for the last 35 years now, right, is that he is very capable of being president. Now, what happened in this debate was a bad performance. Why was it a bad performance? Well, right, we will find out.
We still don't know that, by the way. Do we? I mean, we don't really know why. The why, I think that's also frustrating. And why did that happen? You know, you're tired, but you had 6 days at Camp David. I mean, the why is still a legit question.
A real good question. Do I have an answer? Oh, I can join everybody else and speculate. But the reality is that he had a bad performance. Some people say, well, he was taking cough medicine, or he had a cold. I've had a cold. You've had a cold. Anybody in public life giving speeches, you have a cold, you're not going to perform well. Even though your mind might be on top of the game, it's tough to do that. I don't know the answer to that, but in the days ahead, there will be multiple opportunities for the public to observe the president as he continues to campaign.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.